What's the most ridiculous thing someone has tried to convince you of? So I'm sitting in this overpriced gastropub, right? The kind of place that charges 15 bucks for artisanal fries that are literally just potatoes. I'm on a blind date with a girl named Tiffany. Tiffany looks like she's never seen a carb in her life and spends her weekends judging people's auras. 10 minutes in, I realize we have the chemistry of a damp sponge. I'm mentally checking out, wondering if I can fake a sudden case of gout to leave. Then Tiffany leans in, dead serious, and whispers, "You know the moon isn't real, right?" I choked on my IPA. "I'm sorry, what?" I asked, wiping foam off my lip. "The moon," she said, waving a manicured hand toward the window. "It's a projection. A massive, high-definition hologram run by a consortium of Swiss watchmakers." I waited for the punchline. I waited for her to laugh and say she's a sociology major doing a study on gullibility. The laugh never came. Her eyes were wide, gleaming with the terrifying intensity of a true believer. "The Swiss?" I managed to squeak out. "Why the Swiss?" "Precision, Tyler, think about it. Who else could sink the tides with such mathematical accuracy?" I stared at her. "Tiffany, people have literally walked on it. There are rocks." "We have the rocks." She rolled her eyes like I was the idiot who still believed in Santa. "Oh, please. Those are just charred pieces of theatrical foam from a 1969 soundstage." I realized then that I wasn't just on a bad date. I was in a psychological thriller where the villain's weapon of choice was sheer, unadulterated nonsense. I decided to play along because, honestly, the fries hadn't arrived yet. "Okay," I said, leaning in. "But if the moon is fake, why do we see it change phases?" She smirked. It was the smirk of someone who thinks they've cracked the Da Vinci Code. Software updates. They have to rotate the lens to prevent pixel burnout. I nodded slowly. "And the sun? Is that a giant flashlight held by a guy named Hans?" "Don't be ridiculous, Tyler. The sun is real. It's just much closer than they tell you." At this point, my brain was actually starting to itch. I felt like my IQ was dropping 3 points every time she opened her mouth. But here's the kicker. Tiffany wasn't some uneducated hermit living in a bunker. She was a senior project manager for a major tech firm. She literally managed people who built actual satellites. The irony was so thick I could have spread it on a cracker. The rest of the date was a fever dream of evidence. She told me the ocean is actually a giant cooling vat for the hologram projectors. She claimed that moonlight is just blue-tinted LED radiation designed to make us docile. I just kept drinking. By the third pint, the Swiss watchmakers were starting to sound plausible. When the bill finally came, I reached for my wallet, but she stopped me. "Wait," she said, looking around nervously. "Don't use a credit card." "Why not?" "The magnetic strips. They sync with the lunar frequency. They'll know we've discussed the project." I paid in cash. I would have paid in gold doubloons just to get to my car. As we walked out to the parking lot, the hologram was full and bright. "Look at it," she whispered, her voice trembling with what I think was faux awe. "You can almost see the refresh rate if you squint." I looked up. It looked like a big, stupid rock in the sky. I walked her to her car, a brand new Tesla. The irony of a woman who hates technology's lies. Driving a computer on wheels wasn't lost on me. "I had a great time, Tyler," she said, touching my arm. "You're one of the few people who actually listens." "Yeah," I lied. It was illuminating. She leaned in close, her breath smelling like hail and delusion. "Just be careful tonight. The Swiss are extra active on Tuesdays." She drove off, leaving me standing there in the cold light of a projection. I went home, cracked a beer, and stared at the moon for an hour. I started thinking about the sheer scale of the lie she believed. The thousands of scientists, the astronauts, the amateur astronomers, all in on it. It was the ultimate ego trip. She wasn't a cog in a machine. She was a protagonist in a cosmic conspiracy. I eventually fell asleep, laughing at the absurdity of it all. The next morning, I woke up to a text from my dad. My dad is a retired engineer, a man of facts, logic, and very little patience for aura talk. The text read, "Hey son, did you see the news this morning?" I hopped on Twitter, expecting some political scandal or a celebrity meltdown. The top trending topic was lunar array maintenance. My heart skipped a beat. There was a leaked video from a high-altitude drone. It showed the moon, the actual physical moon, flickering, just for a second. A black bar scanned from top to bottom, like an old CRT monitor. Then, for about 3 seconds, the sky went pitch black where the moon should have been. A small, glowing green text appeared in the center of the void. It read, "Firmware update 12.4. Please wait." I dropped my phone. It hit the floor with a crack that sounded suspiciously like a ticking clock. I looked out my window, but it was daytime and the sun was shining. I thought about Tiffany. I thought about the Swiss watchmakers. I looked at my own wrist, at the mechanical watch I'd worn for years. It was a gift from my father. It was made in Geneva, and for the first time in 10 years, the second hand wasn't moving. It had stopped exactly at the moment the moon flickered. I haven't called Tiffany back, mostly because I'm afraid she'll ask me if I want to see the basement of the Pacific Ocean, but also because every time I look at the night sky now, I don't see a rock, I see a screen.